Hello my lovely spectators, Dee Dee here. Welcome to my studio. And so today is going to be a voiceover. If you watched the first part of this folio, the LuMania Cardabella paper, the Shop Your Stash, then it was long, it was arduous, it was traumatic, it was all kinds of things. One, because I had to cut into something that I've been hoarding, but also just figuring out what I was doing. So, yeah, no prototype and on the fly. The video was a little over an hour. It got us about halfway. So I appreciate that you have come back to see what the final results are. And so a lot of this is some last minute touches. As you see here, I did make an adjustment. I was going to have a third envelope in the center between the two flip-flops on the sides, but I decided to incorporate one of the lovely portraits of the girls in this collection. One, because they're beautiful and you want to kind of use them, right? Two, I don't know how to use them. So because I wanted to add more space and it was wider, I figured this was an opportune time. So here I am just applying it to a hard board. Almost like a writing board situation, I guess, but of course this isn't a writing board. This is like a folio kind of envelope keeper. I can tell you that I'm not sure how I'm going to use this, but I am happy with what the end result looks like. So we'll get to that. So over here I'm using some Eileen's industrial strength glue stick. I found them in the Dollar Tree. They're pretty good. The only thing is that they're the small little tiny tubes which seem to just disappear. Like, you know, like you use it once or twice and you're like, oh my god, it's empty. So yeah, so I don't know. Being that it's $1.25 plus tax each, I don't know. It's not a bad deal, I guess, but for industrial strength, and they seem to hold pretty well. But anyway, so I wanted to make sure that that picture and the mitering and everything of the paper stuck really well. Now I'm gonna find some paper to put in the back. And so my envelopes from the first video, and you'll see here, the flaps of them wrap around the actual middle envelope. So now I don't have a middle envelope, I have this beautiful portrait. And so I need to have a front and a back in order for the envelopes to wrap around. So I'm taking them out to kind of see what they would look like in the back, trying to pick a pattern that would play well with the points or the flaps, as you can see here, and not compete too much. So I land on this one, and I'm going to need to cut this down into, I think it was like 6.5 by 9.5 in order to fit behind this picture. So what I will say is that initially the Sunday Shop Your Stash is to stop hoarding all of the beautiful papers and the what is it called? The brands that we love and we're afraid to get rid of. We buy them. Like I have a ton of like Mente, I have 49er Market, I've got Tim Holtz, which is the one that I used the first time I did this series. So these guys, and I showed you in the first one, are mixed media books, and I decided to finally crack into one and try to make a folio. Now I used a lot of the papers, so there are some papers left, a couple, maybe whole sheets. I've got a ton of scraps, and I got a ton of ephemera. So there may be another video of making some ephemera and then putting it into the journal and doing a finalization. So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to actually happen. Now, I was using this glue. I don't know how many of you have ever used this Darice glue. I could have sworn I saw it on somebody else's channel, and I was like, oh my god, those tubes are huge. I want to use that. And so basically I bought myself like a 6-pack or whatever it was on Amazon. I'm not sure. Am I not putting enough glue? Am I not I don't know. I know it's not, it doesn't say permanent, and I've been, you know, watching videos and people have been mentioning their glue and stuff like that. It is washable, but I'm like, come on, once you glue it down, shouldn't it glue down? So actually with this project, I think this guy is kind of done, and I am so cheap. I'm going to dig out the leftover glue in that little cap, because I never trust that the amount on the container is the amount that we use. Like, does it also include the amount stuck inside that little, cuppy there that's, we can't get, we stop gluing? Anyway, so here I am just looking at, and trying to figure out like enclosures, uh, type of thing. What do I want to do to the back? How do I want to address the back? Like, I was just going to adhere it to the other envelope. I will say that I like having the board because it's 110-pound Recollections cardstock. Made it feel more robust and a little bit more upscaled than if it was an envelope. I mean, when we add the paper to the envelopes, it adds that thickness, it adds that, rigidity and that heft to make it feel more than just an envelope. But the board really gave it like something. So at this point in time, I decided to do the voiceover one because I did a lot of inking, and it was like the video was like an hour long. So by doing double time, I'm able to kind of get through these pieces. There are a couple processes that we're going to see, and I'll explain them, and how my laziness came to be. But if you didn't see the first one, I'll link it at the end. You can go back and see that, and I talk real time and etc. But here we see that I do have some spaces that hadn't gotten finished in that first video that needed to get done. So once I do finish all of this inking and I ink on every single thing, the centers, the whole nine, I need to address those panels that are still white. So I have two outsides for the small on each of the wings, let's call them wings of the folio, and then I have a big outside, and I also have the flap, I think the flap doesn't have to be done. No, so you'll see it's just basically those the pieces in front of where the pockets are actually going to be. So yeah, I figured like, how am I going to do this? I glued it together, and maybe you guys, if you came back to see what happened in part 2, were screaming in the first one like, hello, you haven't even done like the most difficult part of it, like the pocket is a pain, etc, etc, etc. And of course, I can't hear you. So I was just putting things together, and then I figured I could do it after the fact. So but you know what, it didn't cause me that much pause. So let's just say I have a lazy girl method for making the pockets and stuff. I will say that I found that using that Darice, and I mentioned it, is because there are spots on these pages and on these gluing situations that I need to go back in and stick the nozzle in and add a little bit more glue. And that was very frustrating. I didn't give myself a little bit of a little like a matting or a little edge around. Everything is kind of cut exactly to the envelope, so that I would use the envelopes to kind of trim off the extra. And then when I was inking, I was finding little gaps and little holes that I had to, fill in. So the inking for the most part is done, and so now I need to do the pocket, and this is where I'm like, do I need to do the back, like the flap? So if you saw the last video, basically I'm able to, not able, like, oh my god, it's so brilliant. No, it's just like, I was like, we don't have to go that far into the envelope to make there be like some things inside to cover that blue. So I'm just looking for a little strip, 2.5 inches or so. I'm trying to figure out the height of what I need. I'm also trying to figure out what I'm going to use as the pocket. So I'm back on the pocket over here. So I decided on this, like, it reminds me of Scrabble, the letters and stuff. So I was able to get both pockets out of one with a tiny little sliver of like extra. And mind you, for this paper, I didn't throw anything out as of yet, except for something that was like about 1 inch by like 1/8 wide that was sticking off of something and was grabbing onto everything, and I didn't want it to get like hung up and ripped through the rest of the scrap. And so I have my two pocket covers, right? Pockets, covers of the envelope where the little V is. And so here I'm thinking about how am I going to get that V. And one of the things that is happening is because my pocket goes from edge to edge, right? So you're going to see it's on the outside and it covers the whole thing as best that I can, right? I'm not 100% perfect, but the intention is to cover the entire pocket. So I can't use the actual V of the envelope to help me in tracing like I trace for other pieces in the first video. So I have to kind of figure out how am I going to do this. So I'm cutting it down and you're going to see what I do. And this was what my brain came up with because, you know, we always use pockets need some kind, we use our tools, right? But we always need for the pockets to have some kind of designation, right? Where you can tell that it's a pocket there. So, okay, here we go. So basically I took the pocket paper, the flap, and I folded it slightly in half, exactly in half, and then I could see the little bend. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a punch. And it's a really big, this is a 3.5 or 3-inch punch. I'm not sure. Let's see here. It's right here next to me. Hold up. 3.5-inch punch. And it was down enough that it made a good size hole, well, half a quarter of a hole, third of a hole. And it didn't show the white of the pocket. So this was my little hack, right? Instead of struggling with these V's, unless the V is part of your like design element and stuff, this is a way that you can do the pockets and not have to stress out on how it's gonna all get done. Not that cutting the paper and putting it in and tracing it is, you know, whatever, but you know, cutting a rectangle is so much easier, and finding the center with a little pinch is so much easier. So those are ready to go. I just need to do the inside. So I'm putting in a strip like 2.5 inches. I'm pushing it all the way up to the edge like you should. Make sure that it makes the crease works, right? That the folding of the envelope still works and nothing's obstructed. And basically you're gonna push it up. I pushed it up with my thumb, held it up there, close it. You'll see me close it a few times, and then once it's in the right spot, hold it down tight and put glue under it like this. So you're not seeing it as detailed as what I'm saying. See, I moved it a little bit, so now I gotta adjust it and I gotta push it up with my fingers and make sure that it's not conflicting with the fold. And so that's done. And now with this one, because you're gonna say maybe, oh, but that second pocket is going to get in the way. It's going to be, you know, your stuff is going to hit it. Well, what I did to resolve that is that the exact edge I glued to the back of that pocket piece. So now there's a smooth transition. There's nothing sticking out. I went straight up to the edge as much as I could without leaking onto the back or the interior of the pocket. So want to see me do these, and again they're going to be a little bit longer and you'll see me trim those out, but I think that this is a pretty decent hack. You know, it just gets I don't know, I feel like it got the job done faster. My thinking process probably took longer than I needed to, but now I have my hack. So yeah, you tell me what you think about it, because I think it's pretty cool. And so I don't know, I've never seen anybody do it, so I could be, not that I'm saying I invented it, but I'm just saying I never, oh sorry, again, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I guess I'm a morning crafter, because the other reason why this is also done sped up is because I did the first half of the video in the morning, and then I had to do the uploading and the editing and all that stuff, and then in the afternoon, evening, life is happening. Family is, you know, moving around, and so there was a lot of noises and background and TV and all of that good stuff. So here, so see, I'm checking to make sure that the pocket didn't seal up. And so yeah, so I'm in the living room. I gotta kind of like, accommodate the family and stuff. And sometimes, I don't want to, feel like I'm monopolizing the situation. Enough of my stuff is. So it's just, I feel like I need to sometimes do, if I really need to. And really felt like I needed to finish off this folio and not put it off because I was already in the flow. So I did these two videos back to back, but they are coming out on 2 different Sundays. So, okay, trimming, inking, all that good stuff. And yeah. So I got the video down to about 30 minutes or so. It was over an hour to finish up with the inking and all of that stuff. It was over an hour. So, yep, let's just, take a look at this. Wow. I'm surprised that I didn't cut into an envelope because I am not that great with the scissors. So the using the edge, I usually tend to always get like off and cut the envelope. But I did good. I'm like super like woo. I never used to use the ruler and a blade until I saw Margaret, and then it became like my go-to. Like I love to do the ruler and the blade, especially in like little situations where you can't kind of get in there. And I'm gonna wind up having to pull that out here because there are still 4 more flaps that we have to attach on the little envelopes. And so I just decided I wanted to make sure that I inked as I went now because we already had the primary inking done. I'm a heavy inker. I love a good grunge. I may be a little sloppy about it too, but it adds to that grunginess. So here we go. These, I mean, honestly, the papers are looking really nice on screen. So we have to measure for these smaller ones. And so I'm going to do the same thing. So it's about 3.5 by about 6.5. So I'm going to cut a piece of paper that size. So I'm looking through the scraps, which nothing is going to work because it's a big rectangle. And I want them to match, at least the ones in the same position. This paper is a paper that is very, very, like there were several papers in the pad that kind of were almost like true, like, cousins. They all looked the same. They had the same features on there, but of course they're kind of, different. They had the blue, they had the paper, they had that like curtain, I don't know, Baroque, design, and the butterflies. So here is where I say I can't, because the other thing is like my Tim Holtz, I love it. I know where all the numbers are. The Fiskars that I was using, again, where is the 4 or where is the 3.5? It's horrible when you have the arm and you have numbers like that are so important for you to be able to see. And so I don't know, I just feel like the design of some of these trimmers, and I think that I haven't found the perfect one. I like the Fiskars with the little string because I like to see where I'm cutting, but even that narrow one that I have, it's like the arm, and then you still have those, where are the numbers. So here I'm doing my hack again. This is not a 3-inch punch. This one is a little bit smaller. That might be the 2.5. Yeah, I think that was the 2.5. So it does the same thing. It provides that space that it's a pocket, and you can, it still works out. So now this time I'm trying a different strategy. I'm lining up the bottom, right, first, because I felt like I was pulling against the V that was glued and breaking that seal and kind of doing that. So I figured this time I'm gonna do the bottom first, so I'm pulling against that, and then I can put this down. So it's gonna hold a little, it holds a little better. It doesn't separate, and then I can get myself that V underneath, nice and you know, precise, and it's not going to get lifted or pulled against. So that's the strategy for this this go around. Now I'm looking at it, I should have put this side up just to add a different texture. But like I said, the whole portfolio, everything goes. And the other thing that I noticed, and I think I mentioned it in the other video, was that, you know, we take the envelopes and they're supposed to be the same size, but hello, manufacturing is not like a precision thing, because I cut these paper exactly the same size and one of them felt a little short. So I just inked it and called it done. And yeah, so I'm just cutting off those little edges that I need to cut off, and we're gonna continue to ink, and then we're gonna find the paper that we're gonna use for the last envelopes, and then you'll see me put it all together and we'll be done. So I know I've done only maybe one or two other voiceovers, maybe one. This might be my second one. It's not my favorite. I feel like when I'm crafting and it's, you know, in the moment and I'm whatever, it's more easy to come up with like a content. Whereas right now I'm watching what I did. It's on fast, right? And I can tell you what it is and boom, I'm done. And then it's like the silence. And that kills me, and I feel like, oh my goodness, that's gonna be horrible. See what I'm saying about this trimmer? Oh, and the other thing with this trimmer, those two little stoppers, you don't, you see how it doesn't line up to the orange one? It's horrible. So I had to like, oh no, my shirt. Yes, I banged the camera. It is literally right in my face, guys, because it's on an arm, and I need to get it to cover my 12 by 12 area so that I can, you know, do what I have to do. I was gonna cut out that shirt part, but hey, such is life. I couldn't find it after I sped it up, so I just was like, when it comes up, it comes up. It'll be fast enough because it's on double speed. It wasn't fast enough. It wasn't just a blip. Anyway, so I picked out this paper so to add a little bit of lightness into it. It still has the purple. Why am I saying purple when I meant turquoise? Anyway, again, my little hack, and yeah, we're almost done. We're reaching the finish line. I don't even know if I finished my last thought about the silence. No, I did. So, yeah, and then it's like, I'm worried, like, am I going to be able to stay? Thank you for being here, because it's going to be sped up so fast that I'm not going to give myself enough time. So I think I'm going to start by saying, you know, I appreciate everybody who comes back and watches my videos. I get my few likes here and there, which is always great. I've even got a couple of not likes, whatever. And yeah, whatever. It is what it is. I wish we could know why. Why didn't the person like it? So I went back to the other method, in case you're saying, hey, didn't you say because it was butted up against something? And I knew that I made this a little bigger this time, just a little more bigger, because of the other one. Anyway, I don't know why I'm so sniffly. Every time I turn the camera on, I feel like all of a sudden I got sniffles. So we're gonna ink, but before we ink, oh, so we're checking that nothing is sticking on any of the pocket there. And now we're gonna do the second one. This is the last thing I have to cover. Then I'll finish up the inking, and we'll trim it up and stuff. So it's gonna be, so I did it this way because I knew I could cut off the bottom, but I wasn't gonna be able to cut off where the hinges. I will say that these are kind of thinner envelopes. That said, the turning and the inking and adding that liquid, I guess, you know, of the ink to those edges made it feel a little bit almost like it would fall apart or could tear easily. It's dried up now. I'm looking at it right now. It feels a little bit like it regains some rigidity, and so that's good. Anyhow, I'm noticing now that I'm looking at it that I missed a few spots that overhung a little bit, but it's not bothering me too much. So yes, this is I like it. It's very, but it gave me an idea with the masterboards to make masterboard, not masterboards, what is it called? Writing boards for other journals. And that's something that I've been thinking about doing. And I guess sticking to, you know, a 6x9 piece of paper is kind of the way to go. Okay, I have to pull out. I'm sorry about the sniffles. I really am. I just don't know what to do myself. I can't pause this. It already froze on me once. Hopefully you didn't notice because I had to restart the whole entire thing. Luckily I was able to save it, or I saved it in the process. So I couldn't get as close to the edge of where the hinge is. So I had to trim it off with the ruler and the scissor in order for it to actually get rid of and be nice and neat. So again, we're finishing up the inking. Also here, this is where you can see that I have to add glue, and that frustrated me to no end. And I think that might be part of the wetness of the ink on it. It could be part of the glue not having set and manhandling it. So yeah, so it's a number of things that may have contributed to it opening and or not sealing as properly as it could have. So I'm just gonna finish up this guy, and we're gonna go from there. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Okay. Yeah, so again, finding all these little holes was very, very annoying. Okay, so the glue is going away. I think I'm done inking everything. So now let's put this guy together. Okay, so looking to make sure the front, now the clock is going to be on the left, the flower is going to be on the right. I'm looking at how it looks in the back with the letters. They were correctly put because I was worried. I kept flip-flopping and turning it around, and I was just like, this is getting crazy. I'm just cleaning up. Why am I cleaning up? I don't know. I just decided to put stuff away, just make sure that I didn't have anything left over here. So I'm trying to line up everything. So here's my gatefold, right? And yeah, so as I was saying, like I could tell that my video is running close to the end, so like 5 or something minutes. So I'm just gonna say that I was saying that, you know, if you're new and you have come for this video, even though it said part 2, you will hopefully be able to go back and watch part 1. Maybe you like, comment, subscribe. Not all my videos are voiceovers for the most part. I do live. Okay, here. So I was gonna glue the whole entire flap down, but I saw that there was an option for an added little bonus. So the flaps were so rigid because of the double layer of paper and being glued together that I was able to make this into a tuck, which was cool. I wanted to have another element, and I was like, how am I going to do this closure and stuff like that? And I just was like, you know what if we do like a belly band? And I had all these ideas, but when I felt it and I held it up there, I was like, no, this is perfect for a tuck. So it actually works out very well. Hopefully I show you. All right, so let me get back to saying goodbye. Goodbye, and also thank you, because I really do want to make sure that I include that. It's no excuse for the video to just be like, psh, and then you're like, oh, okay, because I do it in every video. So like I was saying, if you're new, awesome, thank you so much for being here. If you are a returning subscriber and visitor to my channel, thank you so much for coming back. I hope that you enjoy my content. I hope that you get some takeaways. Here I'm looking at the entire thing, and then I said, oh crap, did I put it upside down? But I didn't, because the clock was always on the left hand side. So I'm just trying to figure out, and then I see how pronounced that little misalignment is, and I'm just like, how am I gonna fix that? But you know what, I'm not selling this. This is for me. This is for my enjoyment of creation. And here I found a little bit overhang. I was brave to do this because I could have completely cut down the actual fold, the crease, the hinge, whatever it is, of the envelope. So I'm just double checking the pockets, and I think I did cut through when I was trimming. So quick little, you know, squirt of glue, and then that's going to be good. So yeah, so you're going to see all the pockets now that are in here. So we have the one, each of the flips has a pocket, and this thing was a little too thick. It wasn't that it was glued down, I just couldn't get it in because it was a little too thick. And there, and then inside next to the portrait. Now I've struggled with wanting to put something on the portrait, and I decided against it. I was gonna add a journal, papers and stuff, but I was against it because I wanted to keep her beauty. So it might have been a lost opportunity. Maybe some people might say, oh, that's a waste, but you know what, sometimes we craft just for the fun of it and for the beauty of it. And so I'm gonna make some ephemera in another video. I'm gonna fill the pockets up, and then it's just gonna be on my shelf as something lovely that I created. So let's look at it one more time, and we're going to figure out what the closure is gonna be. And so I decided I'm gonna do Velcro dot. Anyway, the video is winding down. I was saying my goodbyes, and I just want to make sure that you guys know that I appreciate you guys coming back to watch my content, and that you guys can comment and you know, give me a like. That would be awesome. I respond usually back to my comments, and so yeah. So over here, the overlap wasn't big enough, but I needed this closure, and I had already started. And once you stick these things down, sometimes it's crazy. So my little fix was to make another circle that was a little bigger. I added a little bit extra glue, and I'm putting it behind the Velcro dot so that way it has a little more stability to hold on to it. I think I'm gonna need to add another one if I was actually gonna ever do this kind of thing again and this happened, because it was a little bit weak, flip-floppy, but it was a nice little, you know, quick fix to that situation, because sometimes we try to line things up and it doesn't work out. So now we're officially done. Here are all the and each of the times that they're open. So again, hopefully you will come back, but until next time.